Hello out there, misfits, and welcome to another AIMBOT. It is Wednesday for me, maybe Tuesday night for you. I hope you are well, and welcome to the reading room. It's been a landmark week, some really weird stuff going on this week, and as per usual, I'm going to do a bit of a rant to start off with. I see Jessica out there. I see that for a slight second, Victoria was in the chat. They were in the chat, like. Yeah, look, if you're going to make a comment about first, okay, if you're going to make a comment about first, you can't do it at like 12:45 a.m., like 8 hours ago. Like that's no, no, no. Like technically, you're right. You're right, but no, 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 no. No, Jessica is first. You're first, Jessica. You are first. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, it's just, and good morning to you as well. I hope your holiday's going fantastic. It's really good to see you. Really good to see everybody here, actually. But I wanted to go on a bit of a rant, just how unusual things are. People in America have been telling me some weird stuff, so I kind of wanna talk about it, to be honest with you, and sort of show some really weird ass footage, some really weird stuff going on from the White House. And the reason why the White House is big in the news is because, of course, in response to Iran striking back at Israel, striking them first. So basically launching rockets off. And don't get me wrong, I've got no love for the Israeli theocracy and the Ayatollah and the general ruling class of Iran. I guess my problem is that sort of the more that they are attacked by the West, the stronger that regime gets. Because it's easier to convince a people that the West are out to destroy them when they're launching rockets and missiles and bombs in their direction. It's very easy to convince a people that, you know, America wants to kill them. And the president said the weirdest thing. He's like, oh, they're chanting death to America. It's like, well, this isn't going to change their mind, right? Like, if you want to change somebody's mind about their hatred of your country, bombing them usually doesn't do that. Usually. I'm not 100% sure what this will do, but usually not. And I've got a couple of clips I want to show because this is wild. Like this stuff is just so weird, and I wanna share this, just for the fun of it, because holy crap. Check this out. Watch this. This is wild. This is the president of the United States, and you may not believe it. It is.
Basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
What the hell was that? Like, that's the president talking, like, just swearing off his ass. He seems just like an angry old man, and he says he's really angry at Israel kind of thing. And it's like, well, okay, but, you know, what? Okay. And the other one I wanted to show was this one, and it gets weirder because this is JD Vance, right? This gets weirder. This is the vice president of the United States, largest military force in the world.
And joining me now is Vice President JD Vance. Vice President Vance, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you, Kristen. Great to be with you.
Thank you for being here on a monumental Sunday. My first question, Mr. Vice President, is the United States now at war with Iran?
So that's the big question. Is the United States at war with Iran? Because if they are, things are going to go downhill real fast. And it's sort of, you know, you would expect that's got a very easy answer, right? Like whether you're at war with somebody or not is not really that convoluted, right? You have Cold Wars and things like that. Totally get it. But in a Cold War, you outright deny you're at war, right? Like it's not that kind of war. When you know, the Cold War with Russia, when you're launching missiles and bombs and you know, bombing their country, you're not really in a Cold War. Like, it's a very simple question. And if you are in a Cold War, you say, no, we're not at war. Nothing like that is going on. it's standoff. But watch what this man says.
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And let me just say, Kristen,
we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with their nuclear program. Does that mean that their military doesn't do anything? Like, what? That is ridiculous. We're at war with their nuclear program. What? And the rest, the rest of it, you're not. I get what he's saying, that we're just striking targets, but it's a weird way to say it. It's very strange. They're very strange people. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, you bombed a country, and the weirdest part was they bombed a country and then told the country to be peaceful, go for peace. The latest is that Iran has struck American bases, both in Israel and in Qatar. However, the Iranians have struck bases, US bases. However, they were good enough to warn them first. And I really hope that America goes, yep, we struck your nuclear facility. Trump says that, hey, they've been totally demolished and destroyed. They haven't been. Like, that's just an outright lie. They've been set back. They've done some damage, but they haven't been completely destroyed. I really hope that the president goes, okay, we struck your nuclear facility. You struck our bases. Fair's fair. Call it quits right there. I really hope Trump does that, but he doesn't seem to me like the type of guy who just goes, well, we're even now. He seems the type of guy to really hold it against people. Hello, Jinyu. Hello, Jinyu. Jin Hiu. Hello, Tori. Good to see you. Aunt Jer, always a pleasure, Aunt Jer. Yeah, it does remind, it's not a religion, it's a relation. Yeah. Retaliation imminent. Yeah, and the problems are sort of, I don't know. Whoops. I don't know whether they realize it, but there's things like the Houthis in Yemen that will sort of strike out into the Gulf and the Gulf Arabia and sort of cause trouble for shipping and things like that. It's apparently Trump's mad because Israel broke the ceasefire, but really, so a missile was launched. It could have been a mistake. It veered off course from Iran. It wasn't really aimed at anywhere. It could have been just a misfire. But apparently, an hour into the ceasefire, Israel just launched everything they had. So, I do agree with Trump on that one thing, that Israel should not have launched attacks during a ceasefire. It's ridiculous, like, it is horrible. And Israel has done this a fair bit. And yeah, people have said, hey, Hamas, Hezbollah, they've done it as well. Iran has broken ceasefires. Yes, but that doesn't make what they do okay. They have to, it's just, hello, Deviant Outcast. So good to see you. Magically, yeah. Yeah, it's weird when they're sort of telling you not to believe it. And I do have deja vu for the Iraq war. They've been asked to provide the information on the enrichment process for uranium that Iran has been doing. They haven't provided it. They've just said, oh, yes, we will provide it. This enrichment thing. There's various sources that say they're not developing nuclear weapons. I'm not going to trust Israel, because Israel has been saying for 2 decades that they, were doing it. Yeah, and that's what I fear, Jinyu. That's what I fear. I feel that it is another, well, we can't let them get weapons of mass destruction, and they don't have weapons of mass destruction. It's absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. Yeah, no, they don't. Although, it is well, yeah, US can figure out the next, basically, yes. I don't. I think that I think that Netanyahu is using the US. He knows that Trump can be manipulated, and he's manipulated him into supporting their aggressive war on Iran, because he's so easily manipulated. You know, like he's just all they've done is just attack, and they know that they'll be backed up. It's really egregious, and Trump doesn't have the backbone to say, "Hey, if you want to do this, we're not going to help you do it." You know, like that's really what that needs to be said to Israel. But, you know, it's Israel, so we can't do that apparently. But I do not want my country involved in this at all. The Australian Prime Minister has said they support the strikes, but they're refraining from commenting on the thing, which I'm disappointed about. I think morally you should say, hey, there was, until we have the evidence, there's no reason to you know, there's no reason to bomb another country. Back on the home soil, this is a Afghan interpreter that got arrested, and this is absolutely shocking. This is a guy who helped the troops in Afghanistan. He was an interpreter. He was in when they left Afghanistan. His family was attacked. He was seen as a traitor. So, the regime was going to kill him. The Taliban regime was going to kill him. So he fled with his family to America, where he's been living legally. And this was one of the sort of ICE hearings that they did to invalidate his visa.
Yes, his disposition, court order, or anything like that, documentation, so it's court order?
I don't have any documentation for you.
Okay.
He's asking what I'm saying.
Yeah, go ahead. Go to him. No, the opposite. Oh, no, what is this?
What's your name? What's your name?
You don't have his name. You're not entitled to his name.
So they don't even have his name. They don't have anything for him. And, what we're seeing is a lot of these police with face coverings on, so nobody knows who they are. You could say this is for, stop the spread of transmissible diseases. Sure, masks were a thing. Totally get it. But I don't think that's what they're for. The baseball cap and the sort of, who is this guy? They're kind of ICE enforcers that just come by, and like they don't even know his name, which is crazy, because they're obviously not looking for any specific individual. They're looking to grab whoever they can.
I worked with the U.S. military back in my home country. Okay. I have all the documents. I didn't have a credible fear interview. I worked with the U.S. military. I was interpreter. I worked with the U.S. military.
Do you have a warrant for his arrest?
Yes, we do.
Why don't you provide the warrant? Provide the warrant.
I worked with the U.S. military just.
Do you have a warrant for their arrest? Yes, we do. Provide the warrant. What's the bet they're not going to provide the warrant? That is disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting.
You could come with us, sir. You could
provide the warrant.
You could come with us.
You don't have a warrant.
I worked U.S. military back in my home country, Afghanistan.
What's your name?
So that is somebody that worked with the US military, providing interpreter services, was seen as a traitor, and now, he had to leave his country, and his reward is that he gets locked up in a detention facility. Absolutely abhorrent. Absolutely abhorrent. Just ridiculous. The fact that they didn't know his name, the fact that they said, oh, we've got a warrant, and somebody asked to see the warrant, and they just don't even answer. These people are not, these ICE agents, they're not accountable to anybody except for the president, and that is a dangerous place to be in. It's really horrible. So the last clip I want to show, and just to show this madness is all over the US government. This is the madness. They came out with a health report that had, it looks like AI generated citations in it. Like we're talking about something we would expect only out of, you know, flat earthers and, you know, young earth creationists. Like citations per, we're talking about the health agency of the government, the main regulatory body for health.
Thanks so much, Caroline. A notice investigation found that the Hallmark Maha Commission report that was released last week cites studies that appear to not exist. We know that because in part, we reached out to some of the listed authors who said that they didn't write the studies.
Yeah, so they came up with this Maha report, this MAHA report. It was a health report that basically, I've encountered this before. Somebody like gives you all of these citations, and they just go nowhere. Now, apparently the names were right, but you know, these studies, they don't actually exist. You know, so it's really wild that, you know, this would be, this would get you kicked out of your course in university. Like you would absolutely be in so much trouble in university. Like you would probably get like some kind of discipline on you. The fact that they're sort of doing this in the highest level of government is unbelievable. It is like, it is just wild. It's so wild.
Cited. So I want to ask, does the White House have confidence that the information coming from HHS can be trusted?
Yes, we have complete confidence in Secretary Kennedy and his team at HHS. I understand there were some formatting issues with the Maha report that are being addressed, and the report will be updated, but it does not negate the substance of the report, which, as you know, is one of the most transformative health reports that has ever been released by the federal government, and is backed on good science that has never been recognized by the federal government.
A quick follow-up, can you talk about what tools or research goes into production of these kinds of reports? For instance, is it AI that's used to put together these reports now?
Yeah, Jessica, I heard about that as well.
I can't speak to that. Yeah. I would defer you to the Department of Health and Human Services. What I know is just what I told you.
Yeah, so she doesn't know much. She never knows much. She has the party line. So 2 supposed studies on ADHD medication advertising simply do not exist in the journals where they claim to be published. Virginia Commonwealth University confirmed to this researcher notice that researcher Robert L. Findling, listed author of one paper, never wrote such an article, while another citation leads only to the Kennedy report itself when searched online. So it only leads to this Maha, Make America Healthy Again. Which is just wild. Harold J. Farber, a pediatric specialist supposedly behind research on asthma overprescribing, told Notice he never wrote the cited paper and has never worked with the other listed authors. So this is absolutely incredible. Like, this is reprehensible. But behind the phantom studies in Kennedy's report, Notice found it systematically misrepresented existing research. For example, one paper was claimed to show that talking therapy was as effective as psychiatric medication, but the statistician Joanne McKenzie said this was impossible as we did not include psychotherapy in the review. The sleep researcher Mariana G. Figueroa said that her study was mischaracterized, with the report incorrectly stating that it involved children rather than college students and citing the wrong journal entirely. It's absolutely disgusting. Like, this is stuff that if you did this in university, you would be kicked out. It is plagiarism of the worst degree. Now, there's several different types of plagiarism. But making stuff up, you know, the usual one that people is familiar with is taking people's work without attributing it to somebody else's. However, there's other things you can do to be sort of done for plagiarism. But for instance, misrepresenting someone's study, right? Like, so saying, hey, they did this study and found that you know, dinosaurs lived with humans. You know, I know young Earth creationists do it all the time, but they sort of that is a form of plagiarism. You're misrepresenting their work in some way. I absolutely think like this should never have come out as a government report. Like this is so bad. You know, a student wouldn't put this out, much less the people responsible for healthcare in a country. Like if a student came out with this, you'd be disappointed with their work. Not just disappointed, but absolutely disgusted with their work. The fact that the highest health agency in the country put this out is absolutely reprehensible. It's unacceptable. It is such a blatant pack of lies and misrepresentation that whoever's in charge of it, if it's Kennedy, he deserves to lose his job immediately. Immediately. There is absolutely no excuse for stuff like this. Absolutely no excuse. And the fact that their communications secretary comes out and says, oh, well, yeah, it got some formatting wrong. That's a lie. It didn't get formatting wrong. It's not like, you know, it's a university and the lecturer asked for the citations to be in Harvard and you did it in Chicago. Like your citation was in the wrong format. That's a formatting error. This isn't a formatting error. It's a plagiarism. It's a misrepresentation of studies. That's not formatting. Like, I don't know how that woman gets on that stage and just lies so blatantly. That is not a formatting error. And they said, oh, it doesn't change the substance. Really? Really? Oh, absolutely, absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I am just so like, but this, we've got to remind ourselves that this isn't normal. This is not normal. Okay. This isn't something we should be used to. This isn't like, oh, well, it's the Trump admin up to their old tricks. This is so abnormal, all of this stuff, that I get, you know, you can feel worn out, and you can, I get worn out myself. I totally understand, but this is so abnormal. Like there is nothing even approaching normal about this. And you know, and I totally get that. Hey, you know, it is wearying. Take breaks, take breaks from media. I came back in it, and I think this is weird. It's so weird. It's so crazy. I don't know how the US people deal with it, but I think that rant over. Uh, I think um, I think I would sort of point to maybe, so if you don't feel like this sort of country in the US, if you don't feel like you're on par, if you don't feel like you're you don't feel like you're fitting into this sort of thing, it's not you. Okay, so a guy called Jiddu Krishnamurti, he has one of my favorite quotes. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Now, that doesn't mean if you're well adjusted, you're sick. That's not what he means. But if you feel like this society is insane and out of control, it might not be you. Okay, because there's something deeply wrong with America at the moment. There's something deeply broken about America right now, like down to the fundamentals. There's something horrifyingly sick about their society right now. The lack of care for other people, the lack of representation for people, the lack of just any kind of empathy for the people around you, or any empathy for other countries, an unwillingness to be part of the global community, there is something fundamentally wrong with the US right now. And to elect in somebody that is doing that, there's something horribly wrong. And maybe I'm not smart enough to know what it is, but you can tell when someone is acting this way that there's something wrong with them. I can tell that the way US is acting, there is something deeply wrong with it. And it's mostly to do with who's leading it and who's in charge of these certain departments. But yeah. Hello, Andrew. Good to see you. Billy, good to see you. Look, there's nothing wrong with a good catchphrase, but I think that sort of the MAGA thing, it contains in it the assumption that um, that America had a time when it was great, where everybody was doing great, and I don't recall that time. I know that it used to be great for white people and white men in particular, back before women had vote, and black people were segregated and things like that. I know that they had massive advantages and thought it was fantastic, but it wasn't great for everybody. Yeah, look, I get what both of you are saying. I get what both of you are saying. The problem is that corporations, Deviant, they don't think in terms of long term. They've been set up not to think in terms of long term. They are streamlined to think about the next quarter. That is how they've been set up. Because if they're not delivering on that next quarter and to the end of the financial year, they're not surviving. So everything is short term. It's very rare that you get a company looking, what are we doing 10 years in the future? Very rare. They really are looking at get the most profit we can for our shareholders in the next quarter. But yeah. Annual earnings at best. Yeah, correct. Yeah. But yeah, the shareholders. Yeah. But I have my feelings about the corporate system. It is a system designed by humans. There's no reason it has to be the way it is. There's no reason we cannot hold them accountable for everywhere. So everywhere a corporation steps, it leaves a footprint, and we can hold them accountable for it if we want to. And unfortunately, the way that corporations are set up, they are set up legally to maximize profit for their shareholders. They have a legal responsibility to maximize profit for their shareholders. And so a lot of these questions on whether they support this or support that, they don't have any scruples. They don't have any conscience. They don't have any kind of morals to guide them. It's just what is the most financially viable option. So when it does decide to, say, support trans rights or support human rights or support medicine or support any of these things, it's because people will financially punish it if it doesn't. But the calculus is very clear. If you have one option, that costs less than another option, you're going to go for that option, regardless of the harm it causes, regardless of what happens. So a lot of corporations, they go in for something called externalizations. Basically, externalizations are the propensity, the ability to be able to shift costs onto other people. So the corporate structure is very good at externalizing things. Like you need to ship tons of cargo. The roads have got to be maintained. The people maintain the roads. Now the corporation uses them, but if you can avoid tax and you don't pay for the roads, that's an example of an externalization. If you can dump waste products and you don't have to deal with that thing, then the government does the cleanup because of all of this stuff that's happened. That's an externalization, and corporations are always looking for that. I think they can be very advantageous. Very narrow focused corporations can be very advantageous because they sort of help people in getting what they need and what they want and handling things. But the modern corporation has grown beyond our ability to control, and the way that it's been set up, it doesn't work for people. It works for profit, and that's all. And so I think it's grown into something that the original people that were incorporating companies, like they used to incorporate the railway kind of thing, that it's grown out of the scope of what they originally envisaged, and we're sort of at the mercy of this structure that we've created, which is wild. Okay, well, I'm gonna aimbot now. It's really cool comment. If you do want to, there's a free movie you can just watch it online called The Corporation. It is very depressing, but a lot of very intelligent people are talking about the corporation and what it is, how it was birthed, what it means. It's quite old now, but it's still good information. In fact, when I was in university, we were shown this film as, here is the corporate structure. Here is what it does. Here is what it was supposed to be. And here's how it has, gone astray. Because there's still people that care within, the corporation is just made up of people. There's still people that care in there, but they cannot do moral choices. They have to do professional financial ones. So, yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, not to mention the hedge funds that short the market during the war. Yeah. Well, I was more thinking of things like Halliburton. I mean, Halliburton made off like bandits during the Iraq War, and Cheney was a lobbyist for Halliburton. I think he was the CEO at one point, and so like that kind of conflict of interest is just disgusting. Really disgusting. It's like I think Pam Bondi is like, she has an interest in some of these facilities that she's running. Just disgusting conflict of interest, quite frankly. It is, for a man that claimed to drain the swamp, it is looking swampier than ever. Definitely swampier than ever, my friends. Okay. So what are we doing? Am I the arsehole? So we're going on to Reddit's. Am I the arsehole? So am I morally bankrupt or them? We're going to be doing some consensual, solicited judgment of very ordinary situations that people are wondering, did I do the right thing or did I do the wrong thing? If you've never questioned that, lucky you. Lucky you. I've certainly said, well, should I have actually done this or that? Should I have, taken it to this level? Should I have snapped back in that way when my boss says this kind of thing? It is something that we kind of wrestle with, or at least I wrestle with. So I do like going through these, and I'm glad you could join me for it. I don't know. I do feel good today. I just, just every time I'm getting up, I feel like it's like, what a dumb shit is, these countries doing today. What kind of dumb crap are we getting up to? And I didn't think I would see a president dropping the F-bomb on television. And like, I didn't think I'd see a Republican president dropping the F-bomb on television. That I did not expect. But here we are. Apparently that's fine when it's a Republican. Apparently the F-bomb is fine when it's a Republican. So yeah. Hey, Tilting Windmill, good to see you. Yeah, I don't know what YouTube's doing. I don't look. I'm not responsible for it. Go take it up with Google. Okay, so throwaway 719201 from 8 hours ago. Would I be the asshole? So, we've got our future ones. We've got one of our rare future ones. Hey, Luke. Hello. Will I be the arsehole if I give my daughter an outdated name? No, absolutely not. Hey, I like the outdated names. Gretchen is a great name. I don't know why. I just like it. Lynn likes it. I like it. I think that if we had a girl, we'd call her Gretchen, just because it's such a weird. I've always liked, Matilda and um, uh, uh, um, Anastasia and things like that. Just not just like I would never just put another Hillary into the world, or a Jessica into the world. I think I like those old fashioned names for some reason, but I don't have a child, so never got the opportunity to use it. I, 32 female, I'm currently 7 months pregnant. We're told by the doctor that it's going to be a girl. So me and my husband, 33 male, have been thinking of names until we decided a name we like. We decided to name her Audrey. That isn't that bad. What's wrong with Audrey? I don't get it. And when I told everyone at the baby shower, one of my sisters told me it was an outdated name and it should get bullied for having a name like that, which is funny because she wanted to name her daughter Ashley. Pronounced Ashley before her husband stopped her. Okay, all right. After a while of her making comments about the name, we eventually just kicked her out of the shower and I blocked her on all social medias when she kept messaging me to change the name. So would I be the asshole name my daughter Audrey? No. Why? There's Audrey Plaza. Audrey Plaza. She's amazing. I don't know why. Why would you be? Oh, that's Aubrey Plaza. Okay, so wrong person. Anyway, it's not that bad. Like, what's wrong? I don't look. I totally get. Like, if someone's messaging you and you've said, "Look, please stop messaging me," I don't care who you are. You deserve a block if you keep doing. Someone did that to me recently. I don't even remember who it was. It was some random person who kept messaging me, and I'm like, "Look, if you don't stop, I'm gonna block you," and it ended up being a block because if I ask you to stop doing something, like stop, seriously. Mind you, it wasn't a family member, but I totally get it. Like she's sick of it. But yeah, I don't. It's fine. Look, I mean, at least you aren't naming it X, whatever the bloody Elon named his child. Like seriously. Impronounceable name of child kind of thing. The name of his son was XAEA12, I think. How to pronounce it? How do you pronounce that? A12. Oh God. All right. Ash. Well, yeah, but I think Grimes was involved in something as well. So, Grimes is a bit out there. I kind of feel sorry for her. I don't know why she went for that guy. No idea. Anyway, sure. Okay. Well, I'll put the ye old thing out. Give me 1 second. Poll. Would the poster be wrong for naming their daughter Ashley? Aubrey. Yeah, we don't need another. I think we need another Audrey. Sorry, I can't. I don't even know what name. Like, it's fine. It's totally fine. I don't have a problem with that. Maybe I'm old. No, it's the children that are wrong. No, it's the children. Maybe I'm out of touch. No, it's the children that are wrong. I don't have a problem with that. I think Aubrey's fine. I think Aubrey's fine. I think Audrey's fine. I think Eliza is fine. I think most names are fine. I kind of, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about bullying. If kids are going to bully, they're going to find some reason to. Like they don't need you to have a weird name in order to bully you. Trust me, I know. Like they don't, that isn't why kids bully because of your name. That's just something they can bully it. Like if it's not your name, they will find something. Like trust me, changing the name if they're going to be bullied is not going to stop it. This is what people don't understand. It's not about the name. It's about somebody wanting to have power and control over another person. Shadowbound says not the arsehole. Audrey is not a bad name, nor is it outdated. Ashley, on the other hand, is a true tragedy. Oh, I like that. I like what you did there. I like what you did there. Tell your sister you'll spell it Audrey. She'll get on board. Okay, we're not taking this seriously. I imagine your sister is still pissed about being told Ashley is stupid and was prepared to criticize any baby name you suggested, not the arsehole. You know what? Who was it? Somebody named their child Blue Ivy. And I like that name, but then they trademarked it, which is a bit weird, Who was it? Beyonce's child is Blue Ivy, which is a lovely name. Like I like that name, but trademarking it, yeah, that's a bit weird. I get why they did it though. I think that they wanted to, obviously that kid is probably going to have their own lines of products and things. But some of the sort of names of celebrity kids have been absolutely horrible. Yep. Audrey is an elegant name. It's not outdated. I agree. I like Audrey. Not the arsehole. Audrey is a beautiful name. And while I'm sort of old, I'm not that old. Besides, you really want to take advice from someone who named their kid Ashley. Yeah, and I don't think it's wrong for blocking them either. I think that if someone doesn't respect your boundaries, then it's time to block. Like seriously, if you've said that's the end of it, like it's not her kid. That's the thing. Hi, Rembrandt and Sterling Nash has joined us. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Okay, what have you lovely people got to say about it? Okay. My aunt's name is Zelda. Zelda's good. Like Robin Williams named his daughter Zelda because he liked The Legend of Zelda, the video game, which is fine. Like it's isn't it an old like Jewish name kind of thing? Zelda name origin. I think it's like an actual name kind of thing. Yeah, German and Yiddish. It's a short form of Griselda, meaning grey battle or strong woman. Yeah, so it is like an existent name kind of thing. So, but he named it because he liked The Legend of Zelda. Hey, I'll pay that. That's fine. It wasn't like he was naming a Darth Vader or something. Like Zelda's an actual name. Oh, Deviant Outcast was called out. Yeah, I mean, I call out Deviant all the time. That's okay. You like Charlotte? I like Charlotte. My grandma's name was Pauline. We could use more Paulines in the world. Yeah, I don't mind Pauline. I really like Charlotte though. Ever since like Charlotte's Web, I think that's an awesome name. These people seem to have such tiny problems. Well, of course they do. It's most of the things people have actual control over in their lives, how to react is pretty small. They're not going to be writing in saying, am I the arsehole for, backing Israel bombing a country because they don't have any control over it. That's got nothing to do with them. So, of course it is. Oh, your niece's name is Charlotte? Yeah, I don't, yeah. Oh, actually, hang on. List of band names in Australia. This is going to be hilarious. Lynn was talking to me about this. Okay, here's a list of the banned baby names in Australia. Do we want to see this? This is it. This is it. You trademark mark. You don't have to trademark your name. Okay, so trademarks are used for brand recognition, and you can always use your name as a brand, always, right? It doesn't really matter. So if there's another Mark Reed, they can use that because that's their name, and there are other Mark Reeds out there. It does happen. So yeah, it's sort of something that I probably wouldn't get. And plus, I'm not really making a product as such. Like, I don't really have anything that I'm branding as such. I'd probably, if I was making merchandise or something, I would probably have a firmer basis to be on. But yeah. Let's see. Okay, a list of banned baby names in Australia. Admiral. So there's going to be no Admiral Reed around here. Adolf Hitler. Yeah. Well, I'd imagine so. Anzac. Australia. Baron, right? You can't name your child Baron. So Trump naming his child Baron, you can't do that in Australia. Why? Because that's a title, right? So you can't name your child a title because there are admirals and barons in Australia. There's people with that title. Bishop, brigadier, bomb, bonghead. Okay, so does ever this like that suggests that someone tried that before? That is so specific that I really think someone tried to get away with that. You know what I mean? Like brother. Now, brother, that's because that's a title as well, a religious title. Cadet, captain, chief, Christ. You can't name yourself Christ. I do notice though, Jesus. Oh no, you can't name yourself Jesus Christ, but you can name it yourself Jesus. Just not the Christ on the end, which is wild. Chow Tao. I don't, or Chow To. I don't know what that is and why it's there. I strongly suspect it's probably racist, maybe. I don't know. Okay. According to Google, it's a Cantonese phrase meaning smelly head. Okay, that's wow. Colonel, Commander, Commissioner, Commodore, Constable, Corporal, Cyanide. Okay. Why would you want to name your child Cyanide? Good old Cyanide Reed. Look how he plays out there in the garden. It's a beautiful thing. Dalai Lama, Dame, Devil. Oh, dickhead. Yeah, no, I can imagine. You think you got teased for Audrey. Imagine if you're in school and your name is Dickhead. Yeah, no, I can see that one. Doctor, Duke, Emperor, Facebook. Why Facebook? Like, you can name your child Instagram, but you can't name it Facebook. Father, G-Bang. Who is out there naming their child G-Bang? Is that like the Big Bang? I don't know. It's weird. General, God. You can't name your child God. You can't name your child God. Goddess. Harry Potter. Did someone try that? Did they try to call, like, I have a child and it's going to be Harry Potter Reed? I mean, does that apply for like first name and middle name? Can you like just call him Harry and then have Potter as the middle name? Honor. IKEA. I don't know why IKEA. I have no idea why IKEA, specifically IKEA, and not like Furniture Mart is not in there. Like, why just IKEA? I don't understand. iMac. I mean, you've got iMac, but no Apple there, so Apple's fine. Inspector, Jesus Christ, Judge, Justice, King, Lady. A lot of them are titles. Lieutenant, Lord, Madam, Mafia. Okay. Majesty, Mayor, Marijuana. As you can see, there's a few weed ones. Don't forget weed is illegal in Australia, so that might have something to do with it. Marshall, Medicare. Okay, who is naming their child Medicare? What was I named after, mother? Oh, it's how we could afford to have you. Medicare. Okay, Messiah, Minister, Mister, Monkey. Ah, that's sad. No monkey? No monkey F Luffy? Nazi? Well, that makes sense. Ned Kelly? Okay. Yeah. Nutella? Osama bin Laden. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, I mean, what about Saddam Hussein? But that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Panties. I don't. What parenting are you doing if you're naming your child Panties? Passport. Pope, Premier. Okay, so Premier is like a the leader of a state, a bit like a governor you would have. So the Premier is a title, President, Prime Minister, Prince or Princess. You can't name your child Prince. Queen, Ranger. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Ranger. Does everyone know what a ranger is in Australia? Please tell me you know what a ranger is. That's terrible. That's terrible. RoboCop. Why? Why? But you can name it Terminator? Yes, you can name your child Terminator, but not RoboCop. Ah, it's unfair. It's unfair. RoboCop Reed is where I would absolutely that would be my child. That would be the winning child. That child would win at life. Satan. Scrotum? Right. Seaman, Sergeant, Shithead. Yeah, no, that's barely obvious there. Sir, Sister, Smelly, Snort, Socceroos. Why Socceroos and no other thingo? Terrorist, Thong, or Virgin? Okay, well, do they have ones for America? Illegal baby names USA. Illegal baby names in the US naming laws. Very few specific names are banned. Okay, so it's just okay. I mean, you'd think you wouldn't have to like make a law about that, but apparently you would. Okay, so a ranger is a red-headed person. It's a very derogatory name for a red-headed person. Probably based upon orangutan, I would imagine. So a ranger is a horrible name for a red-headed person. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. So yeah, that's why it's not a nice term, which is awful. Absolutely awful. Yeah, so I think Audrey better than almost all of those names. Almost all of those names. Robocop is a winner. You're right, Luke. Absolutely right. Is G-Bang the censored version of Gang? Oh, no. Why was I called G-Bang, mother? You were named after your conception. We need more bongheads. Yeah, I agree. The world would be a better place with more bongheads running around in it. I gotta admit. Maybe it's a trans thing, but you know, several girls named. Yeah, why not? It's an elegant name. I agree with one of the posts. It's an elegant name. Trump hasn't bragged about he's going to date X yet. Okay, well, I mean, that is the first one. How did you... So I all read it. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing to do. But Bluey isn't derogatory like Ranger is. It's very... I feel bad even saying it. I know you guys don't care because you're not Australian and you don't kind of understand, but It's worse than ginger. It's worse than ginger, definitely, definitely. But I will see how the poll went. Poster is correct. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I'm there saying, hey, you know, I think these days just a passable name is just one that isn't stupid. Hmm. Yeah, I think I did my last fundamentalist fails on Witsit. He's kind of losing the plot, I think. Like really. Wow. That is an ad. Okay, Midnight Mystery 1234. Am I morally bankrupt for kicking my brother out after he insulted my wife? Haven't we done this one before? Have we done this one? Hang on, let me quickly read it. Oh, okay. No, we haven't. There's another one. Okay, so a lot of them are sort of. So I've got a particular thing about this. I think that if you kick someone out on the street where they haven't had time to make any other arrangements, you're an asshole. You're an absolute prick. I think that even if someone does something wrong, if they're living at your house or staying at your house in any way, you should at least give them a couple of days to find some place to go. I think that would be, I just cannot condone making someone go out to the street and you don't even get them a chance to get any alternative accommodation. Even just give them some time to ring a homeless shelter or something. Please have mercy. I don't care what they did. Have mercy on somebody that needs a place to live. They don't have to stay. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, hey, just at least put in some calls to a homeless shelter, find them someplace to live, and then get them out. Like, seriously, I got you. They behaved horribly. I get it. You have a right to kick them out, but, please don't just kick people out onto the street. At least give them a chance to find something else. Look, a day, 24 hours. Fuck. That would be at least something. Because I've been in that position and it is not good. It is not good. Okay, from 3 hours ago. Hi, Reddit made this account to get some insight into a situation. I, 32 male, have a younger brother, 27 male, who's been staying at my house for the past month. He's between apartments and I offered our guest room to help him out. Yeah, and that makes a difference, right? He isn't going, hey, I wanna stay there. Please let me stay. Please let me stay. You've offered your guest room to help him out, and obviously you want him out now. That's fair, but you can't just kick him onto the street. That's horrible. My wife, Cara, 30 female, and I have been happy to have him until last weekend. We were all watching TV and having a normal chat when my brother suddenly made a really nasty comment about Cara. For context, Cara recently switched careers to something that makes her much happier. Oh, good on her. And is earning less right now. My brother joked, haha, you're basically living off my brother, right? What a gold digger. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty insensitive joke. Maybe being on the spectrum. I mean, maybe he's on the spectrum. He makes jokes that he doesn't realize are insulting or, upset people. That can happen when people are autistic. They can do that. I immediately told him off. Cara looked shocked and hurt. She told him that was rude and wrong. Instead of apologizing, my brother doubled down. He said something along the lines of, well, I call it like I said, maybe if you weren't so lazy and get a better job, you wouldn't have to mooch off my brother. Wow, okay, that is a very terrible thing to say when you're living at their house. Like, seriously, that's pretty bad. At that point, I got a little mad. I told him to get out of my house if he was going to disrespect my wife under our own roof. He scoffed and said I was overreacting to a joke. It didn't feel like a joke to either of us. Cara was quietly tearing up at this point. I was furious and told him to pack his stuff right now. We got into a shouting match. Now, a few days later, my parents are upset that I kicked him out and he has nowhere to go. They admit what he said was wrong, but they think I should have been a bigger person, and just talked it out the next day rather than throwing him out immediately. I personally feel I did the right thing standing up for Cara. He's an adult and should deal with his stuff himself. My brother hasn't apologized at all. He's texted me basically blaming Kara for being sensitive. That makes me even angry. No, it's not her fault. No. However, a part of me wonders if I moved too quickly by kicking him out on the spot. Yes, you did. That's horrible. My wife, for her part, thanked me for defending her and says I did the right thing. My parents say family is family and I should let him come back and just set some rules. I don't want him back unless he genuinely apologizes, which doesn't seem likely right now. So Reddit, am I the arsehole for kicking my brother out after he insulted my wife? My parents live in a state-funded housing and aren't allowed more people. Edit. I'm talking to some people in the comments. I think I might rent him his own studio part in a lower-income neighborhood that I can afford, but only if Kara agrees and he genuinely apologizes to both of us. I love him and care too much about him, see him go hopeless. I'm just not sure what else to do to help him. Look, it's not about you have to rent something for him or get something for him or even find a place for him at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying give him a bit of time to try and find something before he has to leave. Give him 24 hours. Have mercy, man. Like, you're basically going, get out right now with no idea of where to go or what to do, or, maybe not even having a phone to be able to call up another place. Look, it's a horrible situation. I get it. And he absolutely deserves to be kicked out. Totally agree. I totally 100% agree. That is a horrible thing to say to anybody, much less your brother's wife. That is awful. And the fact that you double down on it is terrible. But give the man some time to find another place, please. I just, I got to stand by that. I really do. You don't have to give him a long time. Just give him some time. Was the poster right for picking out his brother? I get that you're mad, and you can still be mad. If he doesn't want to apologize, just say, hey, I want you gone by this time. And if you're not, I'll be making you leave. I think that is fair enough. That is fair enough. Okay, poll is up. Feel free to vote if you don't want to. You can deal with it. You can deal with it. Let's see what the Redditors have to say. I did like that one though. I just, I don't. I'm leaning towards everyone's awful here, actually. Like, kind of, except maybe, I mean, Kara, for sort of, it's not her fault, but, ugh. Okay, Lost Out says, not the arsehole. For someone staying rent-free in your guest room, he has a lot of nerve calling your wife a mooch. Maybe he thinks before he speaks. Well, yeah, no, I definitely think better a gold digger than an ungrateful freeloader, not the arsehole. Mum and dad can be the bigger person and let the brother move in. Yeah, they can't. They get caught within limit. Everyone gets kicked out. Yeah, so they're in some kind of controlled circumstances. Family is family, and your wife is family. Does she not get to feel safe in her own home? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that when you have somebody living in your house, there's sort of an expectation that you'll give them some sort of notice to moving out. Like, it's like, I don't know if you've ever moved. It's really hard to move on the spot kind of thing. Like getting all your stuff together to move is not a thing you can do like on the spot in most circumstances, or at least it isn't something like, every time I've had to move, it's been, half a day kind of thing. It's not, I don't know. It's, yeah. Of course you're not the arsehole. Take stones for someone who is mooching off you and your wife to call her a gold digger. Well, yeah, I totally understand. I found a place where you can brothers. Oh, your parents' family. Yeah. No, you can't do that. Not the answer. Your brother disrespected your wife repeatedly and refused to apologize. That's not something to tolerate under your roof. Standing up for your partner is important. You set clear boundaries. Family doesn't give anyone a free pass to be rude or hurtful. Your parents' feelings don't outweigh your wife's dignity or your home's respect. Yeah. Yeah, I don't I think he should be kicked out. What he said was absolutely horrible, but, you know, woof. Woof. Yeah. Woof. Let's see. What have you got to say? Aunt Jazz says, I initially assumed it was kicking out a party or something. I was like, no, kick the motherfucker out. Okay. No. Yes, do that, but I'm not sure on the spot. Like, maybe you can clarify. Do you mean like on the spot? Because that's harsh. That's harsh. And maybe you think harsh is deserved, aren't you? You know, like maybe you do. And that's okay. We can disagree. His brother is an arsehole. Well, yeah, obviously. You know, I don't think anyone's questioning that, Rembrandt. You know, I don't think anyone's questioning that the brother is absolutely terrible. The second comment is far worse than the first one. What do you say for the second one? He said something like that. Well, I'd call it like I said. Yeah, no, that's horrible. Lazy and got a better job. Like, it's not laziness. She's just doing something that she feels happier doing. Look, wow. Atheum says, just got on one to mention for me, Bob Champagne. Okay. All right. No worries at all. No worries at all. I will forget that you're Bob Champagne, but that's okay. That's all right. Welcome back. You're a totally new person. New name, new day, new day, new name, new life, new perspective. Fantastic. Billy says, how can he call her a dependent when depending on him for a home too? Yeah, I think that in his mind, it probably doesn't count because he's the brother. Like, that's the weird thing about some people. They will sort of see sort of blood relations as family, but not, you know, your spouse kind of thing. And it's like, why? I don't understand that. Like, you know, it's so weird and strange. I don't get it, but some people are like that. You know, like some people are, you know, just very, very well, only the family I was born with counts. And the interesting thing is they usually don't have a spouse for obvious reasons. So, you know, I don't understand that logic myself because out of all of my family, I am closest to my wife, and she is, you know, the closest family I have. So I don't understand that at all. Jessica says, accidentally insulting someone happens all the time. It's part of being human. You say something, you're trying to be playful, it hits a nerve with them and they get upset. That's normal. Yeah, no, I get you. And again, yeah, here we go. Jessica says, but then you've discovered you've accidentally insulted somebody, you need to flip around and apologize. Yeah, absolutely. And I've done that before, for sure. I've said something that, oh, that's actually insulting. And then I've said, well, I didn't mean to upset you. It really was just a joke. I'm sorry that you were hurt by it. And I think everybody's done that at some point. But yeah, if he's doubling down and still not apologizing, even after they're prepared to kick him out, I mean, that is just ignorance on a whole nother level. I didn't hear if younger brother was contributing to the house. I don't think it says. It just says between apartments. It doesn't say anything about employment or whether he's contributing. So I don't know. I would assume that he is. I mean, it's even more of an egregious thing. If he wasn't contributing, then wow. Deviant Outcast says, yeah, he did stand up for his wife, and the brother was wrong for saying and acting the way he did after being told, but it wasn't okay. But kick him out there is not okay. The crime doesn't match the punishment. Poster is the arsehole. Well, I mean, they're both really everyone's an arsehole. Shouldn't have doubled, tripled down. He gets the boot. Yeah, fair enough. Left-hand judge says, I agree. Give him time to find a new place. Yeah, yep. Or at least, you know, I mean, he doesn't have to have found another place, just the opportunity to try. If he's still being an arsehole while he's doing that, then wow, yeah. Jessica says, I call it, I see it, the most cowardly and pathetic excuse someone can ever make after having just been grossly offensive. I don't think it is the most cowardly and pathetic excuse. I think it's just a, you know, you may as well just say, well, I don't care. if you find that offensive. Like, I don't care. You know, that call it like I see it. It's pretty bad, I must admit, but yeah. Yeah. Deviant judgment. Everyone gets kicked out. Only the couch can stay. Couch live. Yep. Just a couch with no people. Absolutely. Akim says, I call it, I see it is just a nothing burger. Well, so you can look at that another way. Like, they're sort of saying, I call it like I see it, as they're being objective. But really, it's just, hey, that's just my opinion. That's just my subjective opinion on the subject. It's just, you know, it's just, you're right. It doesn't mean anything. It's just, well, that's my opinion and I'm entitled to my opinion. Sure. But I don't have to accept your opinion and I don't have to provide a free house while you're giving it. Like, there's no way. Unless you're a minimalist monk, moving sucks. Sure does. Sure does. First month's rent, bond, and hiring removalists will cost you around 2,000 to 2,500. Yeah, I before I got a, you know, sort of bought a place, I had to move a lot. That, like, sort of, you know, just, you know, you'll be in a rented apartment and they'll just go, oh yeah, we're selling it at the end of the lease, so you're going to have to find another place. And it's like, oh, real what? I hated it. Hated it. I'm so glad that I have stopped doing that. Billy says, to be fair, the guy probably wouldn't be able to find a place in a few days anyway. You'll be surprised if you have the motivation to do so. You probably can. You know, I mean, I've found a place within that amount of time, and you know, it may not even be a sort of place that is, you know, 6 months lease or whatever. It might be, okay, find storage for your stuff and, you know, find some sort of shelter or some place to stay while you get back on your feet, or at least try to get back on your feet, right? So, you know, maybe he won't, but at least give him the chance to do so. Should I give him, I think a month's a bit too much. I think, like, if you're willing to, 2 weeks max. But for something like that, I don't know. I don't know. In my long career, I rarely have a job I like. Most were for the paycheck. That's fair. That's fair. I can say pretty much the same myself. Jessica says, I earn twice as much money as my partner. I financially support her in various ways. It helps her have the time and cash she needs to achieve her dreams. If someone said that to her, it'd be infuriated. Yeah, absolutely. And you would absolutely have a right to be. I think that is absolutely fair. Totally fair. Totally fair. And wonderful what you do. I think so. I think, I mean, I've been in a relationship for a very long time with Lynn, and you know, not sweating the small financial stuff. Like, you know, I just find fighting over finances is probably one of the worst things ever. Like, you know, it's just, at the end of the day, it's not that important in your relationship. You know, like, it really isn't. It's important, like, to both of you to be secure financially, but it's not important in your relationship. You know, like, who's making more or getting more, or, you know, who's got this or got, no, it doesn't matter when you get into it. It really doesn't. Aunt Jess says, I assumed there was going to be a story about a party and the brothers got into a lengthy blowout and one kicked the other out. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. No, I get you. I hate that money is anything other for a tool for the team to use, says APM. Yeah, no, I get you. And really, it's just, I mean, money is just sort of, to me, it's a marker about how much resources you have access to, which is kind of really shitty. You know, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a marker, but it is important. Sterling said, I would have laughed. My dad worked, my mum stayed at home. My dad's earnings were both of theirs. It's no one's business but the couple. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I just, you know, if somebody wants a wife that doesn't work and, you know, just does all of that stuff, hey, that's up to them. And if they're happy doing it, like, that's the whole thing about, you know, the feminist push that I don't understand. They're sort of like, well, you've got to go out and get a job and all this stuff. But shouldn't feminism be, well, if she does want to stay home and take care of the kids, then that, you know, that's her choice. I thought it was about choices, not having to do things. So I don't have a problem with that. But I know at least a couple of dads that are stay-at-home dads as well. They basically do all the stuff at home, and the woman makes good money, you know. So hey, that's fine as well. And good luck to them, and good on him. You know, I don't have a problem with either. I think it's when we start saying, hey, this is what a woman should be doing and this is what a man should be doing, you know, we're getting into problems of, hey, if you're in a relationship and the woman is incredibly bright and is a lawyer or something and has a fantastic career, and the guy is just good with the kids and stuff like that, why should society tell you what your roles are? You know, if it works way better, like, which would be better? Having, you know, someone who's highly educated and professional making most of the money, and, you know, the guy doing the housework and things, just because society says, well, it shouldn't be that way around. What, so the guy should do, you know, something lower paying, like an Uber driver or something, and the wife should be at home, you know, not making. How does that make sense? I don't understand it. It's a, not only are you sort of, you know, not only is it bad for the couple and they're missing out on a whole load of stuff, you're also depriving society of the best worker out of the two of you, or the most skilled, educated worker out of the two of you. I don't see how that works for anybody, except some sort of, you know, conservative, traditionalist idea that that's how it should be for some reason. I don't understand. I don't understand. How did the poll go? Poll. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find my poll. Excuse me. Excuse me. I did do a poll. Poster is correct. Oh, it's even. Poster is correct and everyone is horrible. But someone said poster is terrible. Okay. Well, so this one's split a fair bit. So I get that somebody saying that, like, dickish, I wouldn't have a lot of sympathy for them either. I get you. It's just in my circumstances. I think I'm biased because of what I've been through in my life, which is fair enough. Your morals may vary if you've been through a hard time. I get you. But, you know, I get why someone would be angry enough to kick somebody out to start with. I get that. I do get it. I'm not sort of, you know, trying to, you know, apologize for the man. I really am not. I really am not. McGorvinstons. Am I the arsehole for telling my sister to stop complaining about how she can't ever be single again after her divorce? What do you mean? How she can't ever be single again after her divorce? Complaint that she can't ever be single again. Well, isn't she single as soon as she gets divorced? I mean, ideally, unless she's already hooked up with somebody and she's still married. I don't understand what this is saying. And maybe I should read it and find out, but I'm not even gonna comment on that one from the title, because I have no idea what she's talking about. She can't ever be single again after a divorce. Okay, my sister was going over and over about how she was now a divorcee. She signed the divorce papers last week, but had been separated from her ex-husband for over 2 years and seems to be totally over him. Sure, yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, some people separate and divorce and they, you know, they're over it immediately because the marriage has been over for a long time. It happens. Some people, takes one person ages to get over. Sometimes it takes both of them ages to get over. It you know, it depends on the people. And she said it was hard for her to accept she won't ever be single again. What do you mean she won't ever be single again? She signed divorce papers last week, but had been separated from her ex-husband for over 2 years, and she seems to be totally over him. And she said it was hard for her to accept that she won't ever be single again. And I couldn't understand where she was coming from first. Then she told me that just like a woman whose husband dies is a widow, a woman who was once married and gets divorced is a divorced, not single. What? That's news to me. I'm sorry. If you're divorced, you are also single. What are you talking about? Is there some meaning of the word signal that I'm not understanding here? Like, I understand that you don't get the miss title, right? So maybe she's talking about because if you haven't married, your name is Miss, right? It's MISS, Miss. So Miss Reed or Miss whatever, right? If you get married, it's Mrs. MRS, it's Mrs. And if you then leave the marriage, if you're widowed or divorced, it's Ms. It's MS, Ms. But you know, like there's no rule against calling yourself Miss again. I don't. What? I mean, that's a stupid rule. And you know what? It's a stupid rule that like women have to change their title, but men are always Mister. I think, you know, whatever you choose to do, like if you want to take Mrs. when you're not married, you go for it. If you want to be Miss when you are married, I don't care. You go for it. I don't care because it only applies to women, and guys get to use Mister all the time, and it's bloody stupid. You know, it's just this weird thing of you know the marital status of women being the one to be considered for some reason. I don't know. Then she told me, just like when my husband has died, yeah, not single. You are single. So I told us to stop making an issue out of this. Maybe her legal status is divorced instead of single, but that's just paperwork for the government. Okay, she's talking about paperwork for the government. So she's upset that she's divorced officially on government paperwork. Brilliant government. What does single? I don't think it. Here's New South Wales government. Actually, that'll do. What do they say? Certificate. Hold it. Single status certificate. You have not been married in New South Wales during a specified period. Who can apply? New South Wales. You've not been married. Yeah, this is like for anybody that is not married. So no, that's not. Whoops, that's not a thing really. I don't. Maybe it's different, but I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? Does it matter? I don't get what she says. That's just paperwork. She isn't attached to a relationship, and she puts herself out there. I don't get why she wouldn't see herself as a single woman, or why it'd be an issue if she thought of herself as a divorcee, or like if she's doing like matchmaker stuff online. Like you can just put in single, right? Like you don't have to put divorcee or something like that. Her reaction was to tell me I wasn't seeing her side and being supportive, and that I wasn't considering that if she gets married again, the guy will be her second husband and not just her husband. I still think the problem was solely of her own making, how she's choosing to look at it, and I didn't apologize for stating my view. Well, that's it. Okay, this is almost non-existent problems. I tell you what, this is you wanted to see some petty small problems. This is tiny. Like, there's no reason why you can't be a divorcee and single. Like, it's not a mutually exclusive thing. They can be, two things that you are. I don't. I don't know. What? What? Okay, so it's just her not being sensitive. You know what? I look, I get that the other girl just doesn't, what is she supposed to say? Yeah, that sucks. You won't be able to, the second husband will be your second husband. she's probably just down about being single again. I don't know. This is really weird. This is really strange. I don't understand this. Like, I'm trying to see the other woman's point of view, but I really don't. Like, the poster is correct. Like, who cares if it's on, like, some government papers somewhere? Who gives a crap? It really doesn't matter. I and, like, I you know, I think that, I think that she is trying to cheer her up by saying, "Hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change who you are, and, you know, your husband, your next husband is still gonna be your husband, not just your second husband. He's gonna be your husband, your one and only husband that you can have at the time." So, was the poster right for dismissing, what was it, sisters concerns? Yeah, sisters concerns. I don't know. I mean, I don't think this is that bad, to be honest with you. I I I really don't think this is this bad. Am I the asshole for making the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's really weird. Outside situation, kind of you're the arsehole. Your point is absolutely valid, but sometimes folks don't need advice or to be corrected. They need to be loved and supported. Yes, she's kind of obsessing over a technical term that doesn't really matter, but that's just a way to focus her upset over the divorce itself, I bet. Well, actually can come later or never. What she kneels right now is to be heard and supported. That is a good point. I mean, but yeah, it's yeah. Um, Not the arsehole. You have two very different perspectives on that. She's grieving and you view this as something that had been in the works for 2+ years, and it's a technical difference between single and divorced. I know plenty of divorced people who remarried or are seeing people again. I think this only matters to some people. Maybe encourage her to see a therapist to talk through what's the thing that's really bothering. Is the finality of it scaring her? That's a good point. I mean, if it does bother you that much, you should probably go talk to a professional about it, because it can't just. You're right. I think this person's right. I'm going to upvote it. This person's right. It can't just be that on some government papers she's now known as divorced. Like, there is a big thing, an expectation that, you know, once you're married as a woman, if you get divorced, your life's over and you'll never do anything again, kind of thing. Yeah, you know, maybe that is something that she needs to talk about. Well, not the arsehole for sure, but let your sister grieve her failed marriage. She is right and you are right. Okay. Not the arsehole. No man cares if she was married. It's not like she has a kid, right? Uh, Not the arsehole. She wanted to hear, yeah, that's rough. I agree with you. I only checked divorced on legal forms. I'm single now, like your sister. She's sad about this new stage. She may be over him and still be grieving the marriage. She may be over him and still be grieving the marriage. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. Like, she could have be over him and not wanting to be with him, but, you know, sees the not being married as a scary thing, and she's just sort of talking about it in a way that's just trivial, kind of thing. She thought she'd married for him for decades more, and she was never going to have that second husband. She needs to grieve that in order to see herself as herself, not a shadow of divorce. She needs you to support her in that. Don't apologize for your opinion. Apologize. You didn't mean not to support her, and let her know her grief is real and okay. Hey, this person's really good. Ask her if she wants to talk about that. Then listen. Just listen. Tell me more. Help her process. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, no, I get you. It's not about the title. It's about the it's about processing it and grieving. Yeah. So, you know, they kind of used to have 5 steps of grief. Well, they do have them, but instead of, like, you go from one to the other, that we now know people can jump around, but anger's definitely one of them. You know what I mean? Like, anger is definitely a part of grieving, and grieving can be applied to almost anything. You can grieve for a job. You can grieve for a home when you leave it. You can grieve for all kinds of things. You know, it doesn't have to be somebody passing away in order to go through those stages of grief, that denial, you know, bargaining, anger. I'm going to forget a couple. So it's bargaining, it's denial, bargaining, anger. What's the other two? Like acceptance is the last one. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Yes, depression's the last one. I always forget that one. Yeah, no, that's bargaining. That's bargaining, deviant. That's bargaining. Yeah, so maybe she's going through the anger thing. Mm. Mm. Really? Really? I mean, I with Lynn in the house, Lynn has lovely thick hair, but it is. I've never called hair malicious, but her hair is evil. Her hair is evil, and I grieve for the shower drain. I really do, because I'm sure it's not me. I can be sure it is not me, like gumming up the drain with hair. I can be fairly confident. Fairly confident. Deviant. Does the sister and/or poster not know the meaning of the word signal? Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange. Those adjectives are not mutually. Yeah, that is true. Maybe she's upset she won't ever be a virgin again, says Archer. Well, I mean, I guess, but I think that ship sailed ages ago. I mean, I maybe you do get women but I'd imagine the woman that is like, well, I have to be a virgin for my husband, wouldn't get divorced in the first place. They're usually extreme trad wives, Single and divorced equals unattached. I cannot fault your math there, Left-Handed Jedi. I checked the math. Checks out. The Catholic Church used to frown upon marrying a divorcee. Yeah. I think that was Henry VIII's big problem with them. He kind of wanted to marry a lot. Aunt just says, I understood a miss to be single and young girls, Mrs. for married women, Mrs. for people who are too old to be missed but not married. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Oh, I've never heard of Ms. being for. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's sort of a bit ambiguous and can be used in a few situations. If you stay divorced long enough, says Sterling, it reverts back to being single. I would imagine so, yeah. Go get a real problem? Yeah, I think it is, but I think it's not the problem that she's sort of making it out to be. I think someone the Reddit comments is right. Strangely enough, it's a miracle. Junior says, do they live near Tacoma and the sister is afraid of becoming a cougar? Well, I mean, she doesn't have to go for young guys. It's not what she has to do. Do Hobbit women have second or third husbands? Oh, that's clever. Like breakfast. Husbands are like breakfast. They come in seconds and thirds. The poll answers should have a question mark at the end of each one. Should they? Should they? I shouldn't. I don't think so. I would disagree with you there, Luke, because they're propositions. They're statements of sort of. So propositions are statements about facts or something saying it. So the question would have a question mark at the end. But I don't think the answers would, because they're the proposition. Look, I could be wrong. You could be right. I don't know. And I'm not prepared to change it right now. So hobbits are the fundy Mormons. Wow. Oh, you don't do that in Sweden. Okay, interesting. All right, Swedes for the win. Yeah, I'm with you, Sterling. Sounds like single divorced sister has some unresolved issues and should seek therapy to work through it. I kind of think so, yeah. Grief's rough, you know, and people react to it really roughly, can act very, very unpredictably. And I think I've been through that as well in grief. Aunt Jess says maybe she thinks divorce is a marriage failure, not just a life change. Yeah, probably. Yeah, and it does sound like that, doesn't it? Um, you know, but divorce definitely isn't a failure of marriage or a failure of life or you know, anything of the sort. It is just, you know, it really can be. It isn't necessarily that. I mean, I guess it can be, but not necessarily. Um, Beck says, I've been grieving for 4 months now. Sucks. Went through denial, anger, and now morbidly depressed. No fun. Yeah, no fun at all. I'm sorry to hear that, Beck. That sucks. Yeah, but depression was the one I was forgetting. Yeah, Dr. Kubler-Ross. Yeah, but they sort of thought you went through these stages, but I think now they sort of go, well, you can pop all the like you can go to, you know, denial and then into anger, then back up to denial, and sort of people are more complex than just proceeding through these set, very rigid steps. They can, you know, do all kinds of things. I know that in my own grief, I've gone from, you know, depression to anger to back to depression and then, you know, sort of onwards kind of thing. Um, Sterling says, if you get divorced after 30 years, chances you won't ever have a 60th wedding anniversary unless both you and your next spouse live for a very long time. Well, that is correct. Sometimes my jokes don't land. Oh, it's like a plane, like a current plane in the US. That's a terrible joke. Sometimes my jokes don't land either, and I just sort of, you know, there you go. There's an example of a joke not landing. Fundamentalist. Wow, fundamentalist. Okay. And the poll says poster is correct. Yeah, I think the poster's sentiment is fine. I just think that, you know, I mean, it might not be right for them to lash out in anger about, you know, you know, about something that's not to do with that might be wrong with the person, but you know, you can't really fault her for going in there. But I mean, it's weird because nothing has changed. She's already separated. She's already living her life apart from this guy. So nothing has really changed, which is very interesting. It's very, very odd. So yeah, but I mean, it's not for me to tell people what to grieve about and how to grieve. Definitely not. Well, I'll do one more because I love you people so much. I will do one more, even though I do need some water. Don't forget to hydrate, people. Oh, here's a future one again. One of the rare future ones. You know what? These future ones have become more common. Is that right to say the future ones? Like, would I be the asshole instead of am I the asshole for doing this? I feel like instead of like going and like, is it wrong to say I wish people would go and do it rather than say, hey, I'm thinking about doing it? It feels like it's not in the spirit of the entire thing. You know, am I the asshole? It should be like, I did this, am I an asshole? Not, will I be the asshole if I do this? I feel like, you know, you should make your choice and then find out. That's probably a dumb idea, right? Mm. Um, yeah, I'm so sorry, Beck, and you might need sort of trauma counseling because that is that is so traumatic. That is real trauma there, and you know, much love to you, and I'm so sorry to hear that. There's nothing I can really say. Um, whatever you do is the right thing to do. However you can cope is the right way to cope. Just, you know, we're here for you if you need us, and You know, getting sort of counseling and help with that kind of trauma is usually a good idea. Just to you know, nobody lives this life alone. You can't make it through alone. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs people to help them in stuff. And yeah, I'm so sorry, Beck. That sucks. That absolutely sucks. Whew. Yeah, yeah. I mean, sure. However you're coping is fine, Beck. However you're coping, mate, that's totally cool. Some people do cope with trauma like that. Some people don't. You know, I don't tell people how to deal with trauma. There's no way. I don't know. Um, Okay, would I be the asshole if I refused to transfer shares in my apartment I inherited to my aunt, according to a deal she had with my late mother 16 years ago? Holy crap, it's another one like this. We had one like this last week, I think, where it was like, hey, my dad promised me this thing before he died, and now he died, or he promised somebody else, and then he died. Should I transfer it? You know, I don't. It's a bit weird. Like, that's what the will is for, right? And that's what we sort of came to the conclusion of the last one. That's what the will's for. You know, the principal who does the will cannot just change stuff in it to transfer. Wow. My aunt has recently approached me regarding a share of an apartment I inherited from my late mother 16 years ago. My aunt 16 years later, that's a bit much. Yeah, yeah, no worries. Much love, Beck. Much love, my friend. You take care of yourself. Um, my aunt apparently discussed buying my mum out of her share of the apartment 16 years ago, and according to my aunt, they performed a valuation of the apartment and hadn't agreed on a sale. Approximately a year or so after this discussion took place, my mother died. Neither her will nor the executor of her estate contains any mention of the apartment, nor is there any written contract or anything else written down regarding the details of the deal. Wait, like, so her aunt either paid or didn't. My aunt approached me shortly after the death of my mother, stating only the records she would require from me for the transfer of my inherited share, but mentioned that she currently didn't have the funds to buy me out. In the intervening years, my aunt had brought up the apartment a few times, telling me that we finally need to sort it out and that she owed me money. No specifics were ever mentioned, and the last written email I have is over a decade old. My aunt now wishes to finally have the share transferred, however, wants to buy me out of my inherited share according to the valuation 16 years ago. Oh, no, no way. What? The current market value of the apartment has, however, gone up by a factor of 4 in the intervening years. I would like to sell my share of the apartment, however, find unfair that my aunt wants to pay me for what the share was 16 years ago rather than its current value. My aunt states that she had a deal with my mother all those years ago and I should honor that deal. Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. No. Would I be the arsehole if I stood my ground and demand to be paid according to the current market value? No. A contributing factor to consider is that my aunt now has big health problems and is facing retirement with very little in terms of retirement benefits. Well, that's up to you. Like, if you want to do a deal for your aunt, that's fine. But I don't think you'd be an arsehole if you demanded the, current market value. Like, these places that, when you have real estates, it's not like you can just sit there and leave it and it just carries on by itself. An apartment has wear, it has tear, you have to maintain it, upkeep it. It's not like it just, you can go, okay, well, I'll buy it off you, and then come back 16 years later and say, well, I want the price that we discussed back then. No, work's gone into that place. You don't have a place and work doesn't go into it. I don't know. That's wild. That's really wild why you would think that, hey, the thing that I want doesn't appreciate over time. It doesn't matter that it's your aunt or not. If you want to cut her a deal, sure. maybe that is a morally virtuous thing to do. Maybe that is a, sort of, so morally virtuous just means that, hey, you'd be a better person if you did. But I don't think it's a moral obligation. I don't think you have to do that to be moral. You have a right to say, hey, I've had to maintain this place. I've had to do maintenance on this place. I've had to pay all the land taxes or, the strata fees and things like that. That is a consideration. You don't have real estate without paying land tax or some sort of strata fees or some sort of upkeep of it. That's wild. That's wild, because all this time you've been maintaining it, whatever it needs to be maintained. Real estate isn't just this thing you buy and it's just, no other investment whatsoever. That isn't how it works. That is not how it works, because things do degrade over time. The fixtures degrade, the flooring degrades, the even wear and tear on doors and all kinds of stuff degrade. You have to maintain a house or apartment or whatever. It's not just, hey, I buy it and it's just like that forever. No, that's not how it works. Wow. But if she wants to cut her a deal, I got no problem with it. That's okay. And she might be a better person if she does, but I don't think she'd be an arsehole or morally bankrupt if she didn't. If she said, hey, it's worth this. Maybe you can come to an arrangement kind of thing. If her aunt is like, no, I'm not going to discuss anything but a assessment over a decade old. I don't know about that one, Chief. You might have to really come to the table on that one, because as far as I can see, the aunt doesn't have a leg to stand on. You don't even have to sell it to her. There's no obligation. When you agree on a price kind of thing, like, when you're buying real estate, and usually you'd use, we used a conveyancer, the deal can still fall through before ownership is transferred. The owner can still change their mind and go, yeah, your offer isn't enough. Like, even if they've accepted it, until that transfer is made, they can come back and say, yeah, we've changed our mind and, we think we can get X amount for it. It's not a matter of, oh, well, if you agree to it 16 years ago, you've got to do it now. No, absolutely not. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Was the poster right for refusing to sell at 16-year-old price? I think they're fine. I think sort of saying, hey, it is worth this now. And here's the thing, like, yeah, like I said, finances between families, some of it's not important. If you don't think it's important, take it for whatever. But like, if you need that money for something, it shouldn't really matter that it's your aunt. It should be that, hey, this is what I need to get for it because, I put in work for it. Or, if maybe you can sell it to her at a cheap price and then say, hey, put it in your will to me. That's a bit morbid, admittedly, but maybe that's what might be a good thing. If she's got some children, she might want them to have it. But these are things we can discuss. It's not the big desperate thing that you think it is. Like, you can bargain. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Artie, I've come to bargain. Yeah, I realize that Aunt Joe's probably going crazy with me saying aunt all this time. Okay, let's see what the people have to say in the Redditors. Not the arsehole. If you met with a realtor 16 years ago and expressed interest in the house but didn't have enough money to purchase despite a willingness to sell on part of the owners, you couldn't just show up 16 years later and expect to purchase for the initial price. The fact that you are related is irrelevant. Yeah, Your aunt's approaching retirement and health problems are irrelevant. Kind of, yeah. I mean, when you're talking about the financial decision now, it may be relevant to you, and that's up to you. But if you say, hey, this is what I need for it, and, that's fair enough. She didn't have the money then, so she couldn't buy. If she doesn't have the funds that are currently required, then she can't buy. It's her problem, not a you problem. OP, you're not running a charity and you're managing inherited property. If your aunt wanted to lock in 2009 prices, she would have sealed the deal back in 2009. No paperwork, no payment, just a deal from someone who's now gone. That's not a contract. That's a memory. You're well within your rights to ask for current value. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's a bit harsh from the second one, but I agree. Your aunt's deal with your mother died with your mother. You have no obligation to honor it, especially under terms which severely disadvantage you, not the arsehole. Well, that's succinct and probably true, yes. Why did it take her 15 years to approach OP about it? They didn't. It didn't really take that long. I think your aunt is trying to screw you over. If a judge tells you otherwise, based on the proof that your aunt is providing in the lawsuit, you will, of course, honor what you are legally required to honor, not the arsehole. Yeah. Yeah. Not the arsehole. Your aunt's contract is with your mother isn't worth the paper it isn't written on. Well, that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah. Yep. She categorically can't backdate the value back to when she believes she got agreement from your mother. It sounds like she lived a year after this agreement and absolutely nothing was done to process this agreement on your mother's side. It sounds like your aunt's trying it on in order to fund her likely health costs. If you inherited a place at the valuation at the date of death, only remains for the same purposes of any tax levied on the estate. Yeah, okay. Not the arsehole. She showed interest in buying 16 years ago. She never actually purchased it and not in any way tied to your mother's discussion with her about selling. Your aunt can either pay fair market value or pass on the apartment. Those are her options. Yeah, I mean, it is her option to sell it for cheaper, but, she shouldn't feel pressured to do it. It's not, there is no will or contract, so the deal never took place. Auntie's probably lying and trying to scam you. Okay, Reddit. Okay, settle down, Reddit. Maybe there was a discussion with your mother. Maybe she interpreted, we don't know that, but wow, Reddit, wow. Aunt Jer says, Aunt Jer, not fan of Aunt. Receipts or it didn't happen. Yeah, no, I get you. I absolutely get you. And that's why it's important to have written everything, really, even at a job. Like the amount of times at my work I've said, someone's asked me to do something and I've said, yeah, just shoot an email through with what you want me to do on it. And they go, oh, never mind, I'll find somebody else, because they don't want to put it in writing. And if they don't want to put it in writing, it's probably very sus against, it's probably not illegal, but probably against like company regulations or something. And they don't want it coming back to them. Stuff in writing is always good. Get receipts, mate. Get receipts. I'm with you, Jer. Atheum says, I hate how much money makes people so fucking shitty or weird in relationships. Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah. It's wild, isn't it? It makes people absolutely crazy. Jessica said, if the aunt has limited resources, cannot buy the apartment wholesale, but needs it to get by, then the solution is she rents the apartment from you instead. Yeah, and you can, provide her with a low rent or something like that, or, just look, they can probably compromise on something. Jinyu says, get yourself a lawyer, auntie can pound sand. Not you, Aunt. Yeah, no, I'm figuring that, thanks for the disclaimer. I think you meant me until I read it. Yeah, fair enough. No, I would never talk about you like that, Aunt Jer. You're just too beautiful. You're too beautiful. Would never talk about you like that. Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a tad. Maybe if I'm feeling cheeky. Look, I don't. Here's the thing. Jin, not bad. Avoid lawyers. Lawyers are expensive, and if you can sort it out without lawyers, like just sitting down and having a reasonable conversation, or some kind of even if you have someone as a mediator, like a professional mediator, it's going to be cheaper than a lawyer. Lawyers are bloody expensive, and they if both sides get involved with lawyers, they will cost a frigging fortune. I always try to avoid them until I can't, because they're expensive. Sterling Nash says, I think it was best to seek legal advice, advisement on. Sorry, couldn't get that word out. Not ask Reddit. You want to be fair while protecting your assets. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally understand. But, like, are they being an arsehole? No. No. Because the lawyer, legal advisement, I get what you mean. They will tell you what the law is, but the law is not moral, right? It won't tell you what the morality is. It won't tell you whether you're being a prick for doing it or not. The lawyer will just say, hey, you have the right to, sell the apartment for whatever. They don't have paperwork. That doesn't tell you, whether you're being a prick or not, which is why most people think lawyers are pricks, because they don't, that isn't a consideration of their job. Whether you're being a reasonable human being or not, they will tell you what legally you can do. I would never disparage my neighbor unless you hurt my dog. Yeah, no, that's fair. That is fair. Hurt a family member. Yeah, Majestic Beck, we're here for you. Yeah, and if anyone's mean to people in the chat who are sharing their own grief and loss, then fuck you, I will ban you myself. Look, I will get out the ban hammer if anyone like even sneezes in your direction. I'm very protective of people going through a hard time. All right? No. I have a ban hammer and I'm not afraid to use. I'm a little afraid to use it. I'm a little afraid to use it on Aunt Jer. I won't lie. A little bit. Just a little bit, okay? But mostly I'm not afraid to use it. Looking at a lawyer costs $500. Yeah, sideways glance is $250. Yeah, no, it is a bit like that, but it's why I really like legal helplines kind of thing. They can sort of give you, they're not the same as legal advice. They're not as good as legal, but they can sort of tell you whether you're on track or off track, or just roughly whether it is up in the air. That's usually where I start, is some kind of I think Legal Aid run a legal line in Australia. Yeah, so they run an info line, just a Legal Aid info line to see whether it is worth it or not. Oh, your son's a corporate attorney, done some legislative work for the government. Yeah, nice. Yeah. But see, here's the thing. Even though they might be good on that, they probably don't know much. Like, this is the thing, lawyers are specialists. They probably won't know a lot about conveyancing, which is the transfer of like residential estates from one person to another, and bereavement is a different thing. So, he's probably amazing with corporate law and stuff. I don't know how useful he'd be on other stuff. That's the thing. Just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean that you can do all kinds of law. It's like saying, well, I'm a lawyer. I do, corporate law, and then you go, well, I've been done for stealing. Can you get me off? It's like that's criminal. That isn't even the same ballpark. It's sort of like asking a software programmer to do something wildly, with your phone or something. It's like, well, why? Yeah, it's just people specialize. Understand this, but they could probably tell you where to go, and not to hell, like where to go, as in a good lawyer to see, because they usually do talk among themselves. Anyway, that was AIMBOT. I'm glad I wasn't that long. I feel like, yeah, it was. I apologize my rant beforehand. I do like ranting beforehand. And if you are feeling like the US is unrecognizable, just be aware nobody thinks it's normal. Like, I don't know. It's just so off the wall. I don't even know who thinks that's normal. It's absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, it's like a doctor. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Lawyers have contacts and drinking buddies. Absolutely. And they talk. Don't be assholes to lawyers, because they do talk, and they do talk about clients that are, um, really, really talk among themselves about clients that are problematic, and ones that are not worth dealing with kind of thing. So yeah, but that's AIMBOT. I hope you're doing well. I really do. I'll be back on Friday, my Friday, Thursday night Eastern time with Fundamentalist Fails. I think I might do Joel's starter case. He's been putting a few stuff up, so I really have to watch and see if he's got anything worth talking about, because usually his claims are just wild. And I think one of them was like why atheism is a circular argument that I wanna see, basically see why atheism is a circular argument. I presume it's something to do with like, oh well, you don't have God to stop the circle. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But Joel's pretty weird himself, so there's that. I do have a debate coming up. Hopefully, I will have one on modern day debate. There is a guy called Apollo, who is sort of, I think he should be called Apollos, as in a chicken, because he keeps saying he can't find the time to debate me. Over the last many months, he hasn't been able to find a time, which is interesting and weird. But aside from that, I do have one coming up, I believe in July. Is it early July? On Sitting for Fiction, Standing for Truth, Donnie's channel. I also am coming up. I've got an appearance on Bad Science Sunday at the start of next month, which is cool. So I'll have a fair few things coming up. Yeah, I know. He's just doesn't. Yeah, no, he's all over the place. He just doesn't want to go into a debate with me. He keeps making up excuses. It's pretty bad. Like, why he just can't say, "Hey, I don't want to debate you." I think it's because he started beating his chest about how he was going to destroy us and destroy atheists, and he's a real sort of debate bro at times, but he can't admit when he doesn't want to actually get into the ring with somebody. So I think he just makes up excuses, and it's starting to look kind of weird, like when he's saying, "Hey, I can't find the time. I've got to produce content for my audience," and then he's like just sitting around on panels and stuff. Okay, well, sure, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so that's what's coming up. I will endeavor to pop some more stuff in there, but yeah, he's too afraid to say no. So and it's not like I'd even hassle him or anything. It's just because he's done this big chest beating thing, he just has to make up excuses. But wow. Anyway, do take care. Be kind to yourself. If you've gone through a hard time, that's okay. Don't be mean for yourself for not being able to cope or deal with the way that society's going. It may not be you. Again, that quote from Jiddu Krishnamurti is, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." If you are well adjusted, great. It doesn't mean that you're in bad health, but if you can't adjust to society, it may not be you. It may be the society and the way that it has been set up. Or it might be. I don't know. I'm not in any place to judge, but I do know when I have trouble accepting the way that society is, it makes me feel a bit nicer to myself to say, hey, something may be wrong with this society, the way corporations are set up, the way that we treat one another. It might not be me. I might be very, very sensible and just not coping with a insane society. But lots of love, take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.